Sari took off running down the hall. The strobe lights lit her way. She dodged a bronze bust and an ornately carved table with a ceramic vase on it. Their shadows stretched out as if to grab her, but the dark tendrils passed over her harmlessly. She heard shouting and pounding feet behind her. The men were closing in. She dashed around a corner, sprinted down a long hallway, and skidded to a halt at a dead end. That was when she heard the footsteps right behind her. She was trapped. Her mouth tasted like metal, which only happened when she was really and truly afraid. Step, drag, step. It wasn't the men, it was somebody else. In a blind panic, Sari tried the doors on either side of the hall, but they were locked and wouldn't budge. Step, drag, step. The footsteps were louder now. Step, drag, step. In the flashing of the lights, Nana stepped into the hall. At the sight of the old woman, Sari broke into a smile. "Nana," she said, rushing into the woman's waiting arms, careful not to knock her over. Sari buried her face in her grandmother's silken robe and inhaled the familiar sense of soap and rosewater. For as long as she could remember, Nana had watched her and Eliana during the day, while their parents worked long hours on her father's campaigns, making sure that they finished their homework, and then filling their heads with stories of the olden days, before robots ran errands for their owners and flying cars filled the skies, thick as flies sometimes. In the sweltering heat of the Tulsa summers, they'd pick and eat mulberries together, the fruit staining their lips and teeth dark purple, and in the brisk chill of winter, they'd huddle up by the flickering gas fire and stitch needlepoint pillows with soft velvet backings. Following the big election, Nana had moved into a modest bedroom in the executive residence, even though she'd never lived outside of Oklahoma. But when Sari looked up, she saw an unfamiliar expression on her grandmother's face. Her mouth was folded down into a frown. "Child, come on now," Nana said. "We've got to hurry." "Yes, Nana," Sari said. She knew better than to argue with her or ask any questions. The tone of her voice told her as much. Grasping her cane with one hand and Sari's hand with the other, Nana led the way through the White House's intricate warren of rooms connected by hallways. Step, drag, step. Despite her pronounced limp, she moved swiftly. Step, drag, step. A few minutes later, they slipped through an emergency exit. Sari sloshed into the mud, slipping in the deep tire tracks that marred the lawn. Nana yanked her up. "Careful, child," she said. "God's about to pitch a fit." The alarm was even louder out here, and the flashing was brighter. It wasn't just from the emergency lights. Bolts of lightning pulsed in the stormy sky. Thunder, lightning's darker paramour, crackled so loudly it shook the ground beneath their feet. This night was brighter than most days, and Sari could see clearly. People were fleeing from the grounds, making for the exits in vehicles and on foot. She glimpsed kitchen staffers, housemaids, and soldiers. They all looked panicked. Behind the tall gate on Pennsylvania Avenue, the streets were clogged with military vehicles and people carrying bags and possessions. Likewise, the skies were jammed with transports. Sari spotted a little boy, who couldn't have been older than 3, dragging a filthy teddy bear down the street. He struggled to keep pace with the mob. His face and hands were smeared with dirt, and his upper lip was bloody. He must have fallen, Sari thought. Their eyes met for a split second. Her on one side of the gate, him on the other. Something terrible had happened. She could see it in his eyes. They were wide and glassy, full of fear, but she had no idea what it was. She stood there, frozen in place, and watched as the mob swept him away like a gigantic wave snatching a seashell from the shore, until Nana urged her forward again. They reached the south lawn, where Marine 1 was waiting with its engines already revving up. Her father, mother, and Eliana were stooped under the helicopter's spinning blades. Gusts of wind kicked up by the rotors tore at their clothes and hair. A group of Secret Service agents were guarding them and yelling into their